Or maybe we won't have an Uber conference. Times that it hasn't been picking up on the other end. I wonder if the developer on that end is aware of the issue for this plugin.
That's not good.
It actually seems like we're connected. It's weird. It seems to take a long time for it to pick up. It used to be like on the first ring.
Maybe they rerouted the server somewhere else?
It's very possible.
Yeah, side note, I've been doing a little more research into, since I got the, what's that called? The reference stories done.
Yes.
I wanted to research more on the Foursquares and how that software works. And also, I think Yelp would be a good one too. But we'll see how much I get through between now and like next week. So we'll see.
Yeah, actually, I spent most of the day working on very back end stuff for Boba Team. So as I like to call it. Yeah, I wasn't sure if I shared the Foursquare link or not. But the one thing that I was interested in on theirs is that they switched from a Google API to that Open Map API. I think is what it's called. It's probably not what it's called. But though when I looked into it, there was at least through the web clicks, was very little information available. It wasn't an equivalent amount of information, so they're using it just to display. It wasn't as easy to search. It didn't bring up as all the things.
Hey, Lauren.
Anybody know how to turn the camera to the front camera?
On your phone?
I have a problem with my new tablet.
Oh.
On the rear camera with face.
I'm assuming that that's going to be a function of the tablet and not Google Hangouts, but there is a possibility that you can choose that under the settings icon, the little gear at the top of Google Hangouts, and when you pick your camera, I think it's the first option after you can find the settings button.
Yeah, I can't find it. I have help and feedback. But
you might.
I might have to exit the thing.
Well, what kind of tablet are you on?
It's an Android 6. It's called AASON.
Try to just. Oh man! So it's going to look like the one on my phone. I don't. It's probably on the bottom actually. I don't know that there even is a settings icon on that particular version. If it's big enough that it's going to be similar to what we're looking at, you would kind of just tap at the top of the screen and see anything pops up. But I think that everything on the Android app is actually on the bottom.
Wait a minute. Actually, it's something about the lighting here. That's I'm not in the light. Oh yeah. Oh, there's something in front of the camera. Never mind. Yeah, right. It's in a case, and it's actually the thing holding it. Hang on. Yeah. Okay. I'll just turn off the video.
Sometimes the camera button is on the bottom of the screen to the left of the record and stop button. I mean,
I get a very minimal thing. It just has people, and I'm not getting any kind of controls.
Okay.
It says help.
If you actually had access to those controls on the Android version, it would be in the same place as like muting your microphone.
Right.
But if that's in the same place that you can see pizza.
Yeah, no, I can see all that, but it's so it just gives me the option of turning on and off the camera.
So it's the same. It's the same as the. Sorry.
It's not recognizing the front camera.
Right. Yeah, it's the same as the version that's part of the Android phone app. Like I said, I don't think that's actually an option for Google Hangouts.
Mm. Well, the important things you're here, Lauren, and that's good. Let's get started. We're a little late. Sorry about that. Okay, this is Thursday, June 29th? Yes. No, 28th. Excuse me.
I think you were right the first time.
Nope. Yes, you're correct. 29th. June 29th, 2017. Ooh, oh boy. Thursday. I am not at Linwood. I am actually in Henderson, Nevada. After this stand-up, I am officially on vacation.
Wait.
Yeah, in a few days, we're actually going to fly out to Houston and then to Jamaica. Haven't taken a trip like this since 2009, so yeah, God. I hope everything done, except I did find that my passport, I guess they misspelled my name, but moving forward, we'll talk about that in Crosstalk if there's time. Last week, wow, we did quite a bit. We had a lot of the modules completed for car number 7. The lights are working. We've got it somewhat mounted. It's not the best. It's not the prettiest. Does it work? Yes. Does it read out? Yes. We likely need to calibrate it. Awesome. There's an extension made. Thank you, Eli. We got Andrew Hall more progress in terms of the Speeduino and figuring out the throttle body controls and the drive-by-wire pedal as well. It's looking great. Own self-demo on that, which is amazing and great, and he even uploaded. Couldn't be more proud again. We got Chris Wallace planned and booked for flying up for that week of July. I believe that is the 17th, which is the Monday, to the 26th, that Friday, for the whole week to help scrum and co-teach a Bellevue College build, which is going to be amazing. There's a couple of things that we will have to work through in terms of the prep, but for the most part, I think a lot of the details are hashed out. There's probably a lot more that we need to as well, but looks like it's coming along quite nicely. A banner is probably something we want to consider. It's something that I could probably share with the group that what one of the original designers of the logos had sent, and we'll see if that's something that we can create a 2 by 5 foot banner at Costco, which is load the file and then have it printed. It's actually a same day doable. Possible blocks. If I can't rent a truck or borrow a truck, that could be an issue. We'll need to find out what's a good backup plan. I'm putting all my eggs in one basket and thinking that I can exchange my car for my friend's truck, and that I should be able to haul it, and it's got a tow hitch thing where you can adjust the amount of braking that you want on the hitch on the trailer. So looks like it's pretty good. I'll need to confirm with him once I get back. Otherwise, that's the only foreseeable block that I can see. Otherwise, flights, plane, and might not get back in the country, things like that. But one of the other ones is those. That is it for me. Or excuse me, next week I'm on vacation. But on the next sprint, I think what we're going to be doing is probably seeing if we can iterate more on the windshield or the wiper to get that wired up so it works. Or that could be one of the things that applies and have the students see if they want to build. And the next iterations as well, such as a working horn and also airbag system. Those are some of the things that we would like. We would like to also bring in the body shell and see if we can put those together to get the blinkers and the headlights and such. So that's it for me. Who would like to go next?
Awkward pause.
Okay.
Okay, I'll go ahead and jump in then. So I'm Chris Wallace. I'm the product owner of the Burleson, Texas, USA Microfactory. So last week I worked on one thing. not to completion, and then got another thing done. So I worked on the table of contents for the Scrum Guide Esperanto translation. As of this evening, we're 62.5% done with that document as approved. So I would have liked to have had the whole thing done, but that's status update. Also, William mentioned this, but I had a Google Hangout with William to solidify my dates in Seattle for the Bellevue College build. And also, thank you, William, for being so accommodating on that, knocking all the blocks out. For next week, I definitely want to finish the table of contents for the Scrum Guide Esperanto translation. If I finish that, the next goal is to work on the Scrum and Hardware Guide, and there's been some suggestions up there, and there's probably some comments that I haven't seen yet that need to be iterated into the guide. It is currently posted in draft form as a blog right now on wikispeed.org. So if whoever's listening, if you want to go check that out, feel free to do so. And definitely feel free to comment on it. As far as blocks, what slowed me down and why I didn't quite get to done on this Esperanto translation of the Scrum Guide is I'm wondering which Scrum terminology or whatever is jargon / trade terms. I feel like anything like that should not be translated. So, for instance, I'm definitely not going to translate, right? You could translate it to man batalo, which is means scrimmage or hand battle. But Scrum that's a trademark name, obviously, so that's going to stay in the guide. But it gets a little more confusing the further down I go into this. Like, should I translate the word sprint to spurto, or should it just be called sprint because that's what it's called in the Scrum Guide? So that's my only block. And if anybody wants to chime in on any advice on how to look at that, definitely feel free to do so. And that wraps it up for my stand-up portion.
I do have a translation idea, not specific to Esperanto, obviously, but you might be able to find some other example, or maybe not. But generally, in a lot of languages, English is used for business and technical.
Exactly, Lauren. So you're hitting my point exactly. Is like Pepsi's always Pepsi, right? And Coke's always Coke. Where my block lies in not knowing which of the terms are Pepsi and Coke and which are translatable. So, like I said, Sprint to me actually probably should still be called Sprint, but there's a few others, like the product owner is not going to be called product owner necessarily because it's not descriptive enough to somebody coming at it from another language. Maybe the easy solution, I don't want to, this is probably more for cross-track, but maybe the easy solution is to, some of these things will be translated and then in parentheses or something we'll have the original technical term.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you, Chris. And also for the record and iteration is that, yes, this is William Newing. I'm the product owner of Linwood, Washington, Wikispeed. And Lauren, I believe you are next.
Right. This is Lauren Salter, Gabriel Island, British Columbia. And in the past week, I did about what I thought I would do, which is follow up with Joe on the charitable status. And yeah, that's pretty much it for now, for this week. Coming week, I'm going to try and dovetail some of my own financial needs with Wikispeeds and check out financial software, books, and things like that, like the front accounting and QuickBooks. I'll see if I can get a trial on QuickBooks or something, because I want to see what the different. And the thing I really want to look at is how easy you can make it and easy and secure at the same time to have a collaborative kind of receipt and expense reporting thing. So that I've already talked about that. So that's what's on my radar, but I don't know how much I'll get done. Block skiing, catching up on other things, tax, red tape. I have various things to catch up on. I did put them aside just a little bit for the thing, so the usual kinds of blocks. And the weather's nice, so I'm outside a lot. And
very good. Well, that was pretty good, actually. We're about 30 seconds over. That wraps up our stand-up. Moving forward onto our retrospect, which is rating yourself, how happy you feel in your position from 1 to 10, and how happy do you think the team is from 1 to 10. And we'll go in preceding order. Previous week, it was pretty good. I'm going to go with an 8 or a 9. I should probably record this. So I'm going to give myself a 9. We'll go with that. The reason is because it felt okay, but I think because going on vacation, it's been a long time. I think there could have been more preparation and more visualization for other volunteers and students to pick up what's going to happen next, what's to do what, and also provide as much guidance as possible, or even have some dialogue, because I know that as a product owner, there will likely be a lot of that dialogue going on. And how do I make myself available while I'm on vacation? That's the hard part, is that it's a catch-22. So perhaps to get a lot of that beforehand done. So I think that for me could be some of that improvement. For the team, wow, amazing. We're still going at it. I'm going to say also a 9 again. We're doing really, really well. We're continuing to practice our process improvement, and we're helping and ushering each other in through emails, and we're also utilizing Slack a lot more when we're utilizing that and trying to figure out a niche for how Slack is going to be able to be more useful for us in terms of communication. So I'm really excited about that and happy about that. Unfortunately, I do not have a process improvement. We will see what we have coming up, and that is it for me. So, Chris, I believe you're up next.
Okay, so I personally still feel like William should have given himself a 10 at the very least, because he said, what you were doing, the speedometer and the tag, meeting up with me, you're clearly covering all the bases. And I'll just throw this out right now, even though this is better for crosstalk, is that proxy product owner for when you're gone, because you should really be on vacation when you're gone and not have to worry about it too much. So if someone's willing to step up and take some of those responsibilities and do the best that they can, that might relieve some of your burden there. I'm going to go with the 10 for my happiness in my role for this week. If it was based on my accomplishments, it would probably be lower. But I love that even when I have limited bandwidth, it doesn't seem to slow the team down at all. I'll just keep rocking it. I am going to go with a 9 for the goals of the team. I think as individuals, everyone call and the people who couldn't make it tonight are definitely continuously rocking it. But I would say what would make me happier as a process improvement is what are we doing as a team? As individuals, we are rocking it. So my process improvement would be maybe to pick one important story we can all swarm on this week, and okay, we'll do, and basically swarm on it until it's done.
Girl, actually.
Oh,
it's okay.
Okay, I call everybody dude.
Good save. Yeah.
So that wraps it up for me.
Thank you, and agreed.
Go ahead.
And Lauren, you're up next.
Okay. So I'm going to do a 7 for me, just because I did more or less what I said I was going to do, which wasn't much. 10 for the team, and don't have a process improvement, a new one anyway, in mind. Definitely this is, I think that would be a backlog. So the financial stuff. So I don't have one right now, unless I would go back to the idea of food, having one time or at one point. We've talked. There's two things. So we've talked about bringing a friend to the stand-up, and I've talked about food. So how about bring a friend or go somewhere with Wi-Fi, some restaurant with a friend who might be interested, and do the HighFive stand-up in a social way. And you need a little notice, so like notify that in 4 weeks it'll be a social event with food, because people hang around a little longer for this crosstalk. Yeah, that's it for me.
Thank you, Lauren. So your idea of a process improvement is that we can try a stand-up meeting or a HighFive sync-up meeting, HighFive meeting, stand-up meeting. I'm mixing a whole bunch of these together, sorry. HighFive stand-up at a public place with food, so that it's more normalized, like an actual meeting with food. Because you're right, it's very old school where people have discussions and meeting over food, because we all have to eat, but we could also get things done at the same time. I like the idea, and let's do start on something like that and see if we can iterate to make it more form-fitting.
Can we maybe call it like high attendance hangout or something? And like I like the invite a friend part a lot.
Yeah.
The public aspect of it may make it a little too noisy and chaotic. I'm not sure. I could be totally wrong.
Likely, depending on the place. So I think that's one of the things that maybe we have to test and iterate and go from there. So yeah, let's try that out. Because the main point is to get more people involved, get a little more informal-ish, where we can discuss more things and be more comfortable with each other to talk about any other things, instead of just another person on the screen, which is exactly what we're doing. But how do we make it so it's like we're closer together, even though we're remote? And that's a good point. I think Lauren is trying to drive back.
Can I propose that there's really only been one process improvement suggested, and that's Lauren's, and that my process improvement of picking one story to swarm on and iterate to done should be that improvement that Lauren suggested? Does that make sense? What I just said? No. Okay, so my process improvement was picking one story that we could all swarm on as a team and get it to done. So I would say that my proposal would be that what we do is pick one story as a team we can all swarm on, and that story should be Lauren's suggestion of invite a friend, have food, a high five, hang out, something like that.
Yeah, I've got a suggestion on top of that. For the first time, in the summer, things tend to get scattered as William going on vacation and so forth. So how about after Labor Day, maybe the first meeting after Labor Day, so we can think about now. I can see, like outdoor, a restaurant with outdoor, and I don't see the noise as necessarily a problem if you got headphones. But anyway, think on it. And for the first meeting after Labor Day, and that would be also kind of a good point at which to kind of focus on getting high attendance.
I see. Lauren, how about this? That's backload the after Labor Day testing of the hangouts in a public area, or the HighFive stand up in a public area, and then for this next sprint's process improvement is to invite one more person, invite at least one more person to the HighFive stand-up, and we can iterate from there.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Okay. And Chris, I think
I'll be off for a second. I'll be back.
Okay. I don't know why I muted myself. And Chris, I think that's the point you were getting at, and I think that fulfills it. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh, yeah, no, that's perfect. Like I said, we're iterating it already. It's working great.
True. And then good point on focusing on one thing at a time, which is good. I mean, let's just try to keep it simple. That way we can eliminate any of the minimal factors of what it's not working, instead of, there's all these different pieces that we have to keep track of and trace, and also iterate a couple times to figure out, well, is it this factor or is it the other factor? So thank you. Appreciate that.
And I will likely, again, I don't know yet, but I'll at least attempt to, and we'll invite my wife to join the call for the next hangout. And maybe that'll help towards some previous improvements of trying to get more women on the call, right? So we can see how that works out.
That I should have invited the other two then, girlfriend and daughter. I'm like, hey, come on, join. Hang out. We were just having food. Oh, okay. Well, poop on me. Yeah, why does it have to be a private thing? Like, hey, I got to be out here. I could just be out there with them and be like, yeah. Let me go do that right now. Why am I going to do this? So, I'm going to take myself out there. Hopefully I don't lose anything because I'm recording.
And I'm back.
Welcome back. It's all good. We're going to try something. Yeah. Oh, you're fine. You'll be fine. You might get recorded, but
No,
get plugged
man.
in somewhere. And you start on the Legos without me? Lord. Okay. So one of our process improvement was to have more diversity in our. No, I'm getting a lot of no's. Well, at least they're in the area. They're both here. You know. But one of our process improvement is have more women as volunteers or in our stand-ups and high-fives. And the other improvement is to invite other people to our stand-ups and volunteers. Okay, so they're in the vicinity, in the area. You can hear them. But one of them was like, no. I mean, she's shy. It's okay. I understand, you know. And I'm sure the 12-year-old's mother's, signing a consent form, and I'm like, yeah. Otherwise, I'd be in trouble. All right, let me record this down, which is, and of course, there's comment in the back, trying to figure out what's going on. So I think that's a unanimous diversity. Yes, that's a unanimous 3 yeses. I will get a chance to record that, so that way we can finish up our retrospective, which is really good for in terms of our numbers. And then 2, we have our process improvement, which is invite at least one more person or more people to our HighFive stand-up. And that concludes our retrospective. Let's move forward to our crosstalk. Gentlemen, take it away. Whatever you want to talk about. Lauren, you're up.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking of. It was the translation thing. So a little more about the translation. In Nazi Germany, there was a movement to rid the thing of foreign words like television. Well, there wasn't television, but say, there was television in the 1920s. And so they wanted to change it from the Greek television to Fernseher, Farseer. And Fernsprecher was the phone. Instead of telephones, they called it the Fernsprecher. So I'm like, I don't know if that'll help you.
It might make me more careful when I'm translating. I get exactly what you're saying. That's the part, and that's what made it a block. Is I'm not sure which of the words They're all going to be title type words, right? The bulk of the document is going to be translated, but there's certain terms in Scrum that probably should stay those terms even throughout the translation. And something you brought up, Lauren, earlier is there's actually many examples. I don't know the exact number, but I think it's above like 30 translations of the Scrum Guide. And in order to figure this out, I've actually looked at the Spanish translation to see how they dealt with some of it. So that's actually good advice. I probably need to look at some other translations too and see how they went about it. That may actually completely remove the block. Let me know which terms to which words to translate and which not to.
Okay, something else I'm thinking about is it's still like an urgency. The arguments that coal and you need to keep the coal getting dug and the tar sands in Canada getting dug is that the people need the jobs. I'm kind of formulating it as getting people out of the off the pipelines and up onto rooftops and hilltops. But that also applies to microfactories. So there's opportunities. If people lose their job, then maybe could be like the place that's best situated could look into people who've been displaced by out of fossil fuel or out of other.
There are. And in Canada, there's actually an organization called Iron and Earth. About, I want to say almost 2 years ago, though? Yeah, almost 2 years ago or more. I actually flew to Alberta, Canada. They're actually, I believe, based in British Columbia, or at least one of them are. They're actually a remote group, just like Wikispeed is, but they're all over Canada, from all the way to the east coast in is it Scandinavia? Nova Scotia? Sorry. Yeah. Maritimes, yeah. All the way over to the BC. And I flew up to Alberta to actually go and coach them on the basis of Agile and Scrum and how to implement that. And it was really exciting to see what they're doing. They're actually transforming a lot of the workers from the oils and sands industry to retrain them, provide different references, training, so that they can shift over to the renewable industry, which is, if you're an electrician, then you can definitely go and wire electrical panels for solar panels, for windmills and things like such. If you're a welder, yes, we also need welders and the metallurgies to work on the similar aspects. Like, all those labor things are applicable to the renewable energy sector. That doesn't mean that you have to stay in that same sector. Like, those skill sets still apply there. And that's what they're trying to do. I really recommend looking into them. I believe one of the founders is called Liam. I forget his last name, but it is a really good one. I recommend to go check it out.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I'm sending myself.
Yeah, and I know Lauren had suggested before for this exact situation using our microfactory idea to assemble solar panels and other things like that. Again, for displaced workers that can. I think, and I may be wrong, you can correct me, Lauren, but that the idea is to really, from the ground up, change the economy by when these people are displaced, move them into basically the economy, the concept, the idea of what Wikispeed's doing, what Scrum's doing, and really empower people to do for themselves for the better of the world. I think that's what I picked up. I know you discussed this before, and that's been my impression of it anyway.
Yeah. I get the idea of distributed and a kind of open source or corporate free. I'm talking with. I belong to the Linux group here on Gabriola, and there's incredible talented people here. There's 2 amateur radio astronomers on the island, and one of them also is just he buys every Kickstarter and Indiegogo and everything that there is, and so he's right up and technically totally competent. And we've been talking about. We had a 5-day communications outage on Gabriel because in the middle of the night, a barge with a crane on it. This is like perfect storm. The crane is supposed to lower the crane. It didn't. The crane was sticking up. And they sailed through a pass, and up above on the pass was all of the power lines, the phone lines, and the cable internet line, and they all got knocked down. Now, the power line people are used to working quick, so they 2 days. But still, no 911, no communications, no internet for 5 days. I actually went and stayed in a motel. I took a ferry and stayed in a motel because I needed to get some things done. So that's like an impetus to people. I'm talking with my neighbor basically about there are some chips and some little thingies that people have invented that can simulate a cell network, can actually create a cell network, a wireless internet network, and so and then there's also a bunch of initiatives to do with energy. So you could imagine becoming kind of independent, a community becoming sort of independent. But we're more thinking not so much of being survivalists as of providing options, robust options, and things that can pick up where the old economy leaves off. So that's kind of the big picture thing that I'm thinking of.
William, I'm sorry, Lauren, you almost made me nerd out completely when you started discussing like the open source cell phone towers and everything. I'm not going to go into it and bore everyone, but for anyone that's interested, that's listening, the device you're talking about is called a USRP. It's a universal software radio peripheral where all the modulation's done in software. And yeah, it's super awesome. I'm actually surprised that all of y'all's communication electrical cables are run above the water, like not below the floor.
When they first conceived of it, and it was the longest cable run in the world, suspended cable run in the world. So there's ferries and boats going through all the time. There's shallow passages, but some of the passages are much closer to the mainland. So it's very attractive to just stick a couple of towers up and run it across, and that's how I'm sure it kind of developed organically. You know, it obviously had a failure point there.
Yeah, a catastrophic failure, right? When everything goes down.
I'm just looking for. I got a notice about the device and what it was called.
The USRP?
Yeah. It was LineNet. Network in a Box, WAN, LTE, LineNet is one of them. They're a couple of $1,000. And
that's cool.
it's on a place called Crowd Supply. I'll send it out right now.
I think the USRP is more of a build-it-yourself solution because you can use it for anything. Again, it's universal. So anything that does radio, they have daughter cards for, and then and then there's software to modulate the actual frequencies.
Right.
And then there's open source software for building cell phone towers too. So I think my suggestion was more like a build-it-yourself thing. This may actually be a more ready-made solution that you're talking about.
I'm going to make a note of that. It's USRP, is it?
Yes, that is correct. And trying to think of the name of the software that does the cell phone portion of it. It's like Open BTS, I believe, but I may be totally wrong about that. It's been years since I looked at it.
Yeah, I just make a note of that. Oh, there's another thing by, I can't remember if it's Amazon or Facebook. I think it's Amazon. I remember. Anyway, it's you stick a cell tower up in a tree. It's mainly for third world, and it's a it's a I don't know what. Yeah, it's a solution for third world, and they've got a project going to provide some internet to remote places in the third world via these little towers or little things you can stick in trees.
It sounds exciting. If it's something that we want to do, a good way to probably just list them out and see which one we want to try to attack first and play with, then iterate from there.
I would just bring it up as an example of something that would be compatible with microfactories. That is a community, a self-sufficient community the microfactory would also fit in there. It would move towards that goal of kind of distributed and open source and corporate free.
True. And I still think that any of those would be, sorry, I just muted myself back. Any of those I think would still be applicable to our microfactory. Really depends which aspect of a social impact we want to target.
Okay, that's kind of all I've got right now. I was going to head off.
That's good.
Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you, Lauren.
Awesome.
Chris, you have anything?
Real quickly, I think I had something for you. I already mentioned the proxy product owner.
Yeah. And I like that.
You were saying about keeping all the eggs in one basket with just having one option for a truck. So I think that U-Haul and maybe Ryder, and I'm sure there's other companies, will allow you to rent a truck for the 2 days or whatever.
Yeah.
Fairly inexpensively. That could also tow it. So that if that just it probably won't come down to that, but if it does, that might relieve a little anxiety about only having one option.
Yeah, and there's also
I'm sure you can get a truck that'll pull that trailer for $20-$30 a day, something along those lines.
Yeah, there was also the possibility of what was it called, Turo, the sort of Airbnb for cars, and they have trucks also. And of course, I'll see how much I can butter up to my parents and see if I can borrow the Dodge truck, which is this ginormous big truck, which is not big per se, but it is to me. I know there's like the GMC, big giant windows outside or mirrors that sit out with dualies in the front and dualies in the back. Like, what do you need that for? Fort Knox? Is that what you're doing? But anyways, the point is, I guess there are some options that we're trying to keep it at low cost, which was like, hey, here's my car. Can I borrow your truck? So, but thank you. So proxy product owner, and then the truck idea. The product owner is probably a little late for that, but I will see what I could do since I'm somewhat still in the States and have some communication. So we will go forth. Although I think in-person knowledge passing and pairing of what a product owner is and should be doing, can be doing, is probably ideal. So I may have to put that on the backlog for further, but thank you. That's a good idea. I did not think about that. Appreciate it.
Awesome, dude. And that's all I have for this evening, actually, unless you have anything else to cover.
Same. I'm good too. That's pretty good. I like it. Awesome.
Awesome.
All right, man. Thank you very much.
Enjoy the rest of your evening.
You too. Take
Bye.
care.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.